Well, everyone knows that I am the greatest World of Tanks player of all time, and I've selected a assortment of below-average games that I've played recently, and I will show them to you and explain how I achieved the greatness that I have achieved. It's very simple, actually. It's just a matter of not being where the enemies are shooting and shooting the enemies where they are. So what I have done here is simply selected the worst tank possible to use in this type of an arrangement. The weakest tank, the Manticore, Tier 10 in Onslaught. Everyone knows that the Manticore is the weakest tank with the lowest DPM and the least HP and the least armor. But it has one thing going for it, and that is that it has a little bit of speed. Not as fast as some of the funny tanks that Wargaming has introduced with rocket launchers and turbo boosters. Anyways, let's just proceed with dominating and carrying these teams that I've played with, which without me would have lost every game. And I'm doing the only correct thing here and telling the Muppet mediums on my team, help, help, you useless Muppets sitting there in the middle of the map. Don't you know that as medium tanks we should flank around and put the enemies into a crossfire? And I let them know that F6 is the optimal position to do this from, and everyone who plays on this map should realize that if you do exactly what I did in this situation and you do go to F6 quickly, you will just run into some enemies here which you can pump a shot into before they realize that you're there. Of course, my mediums have not arrived yet, so the only firepower available for the team in this position is me. So I have to make sure that I don't miss my shots and make my shots count. So I will carefully aim this shot at this player who is hidden, but in fact change my mind and shoot this one up the ass. Which is an easier shot. It is easier to shoot a heavy tank stationary up the ass than a moving medium tank. I'm almost reloaded and notice that one of my medium tank friends has arrived. I shouldn't say friend, let's shoot this guy up the ass. He has arrived, but has been detected and now will be my meat shield. As the enemies shoot the Udez, who is foolishly not using the one bush that Wargaming provides in this situation, he is detected and will get shot while I continue to rack up the damage by shooting heavy tanks, stationary heavy tanks, up the ass. The CS-63 is a rental player and is floundering in an area that is not critical at all in this game. I will keep the enemies lit with my special space modulating detection system which Wargaming puts in this silly mode. And now of course it's time to move in and take the mop-up damage. But of course the medium tanks on my team do not realize this and they just continue to flounder on the ridgeline even though they do not have targets. But I will find a target because finding targets is what I do. As I said, it's simply a matter of shooting the enemies where they are and not being where the enemies are shooting. Simple. If you follow this type of advice and you do exactly what I do, for instance on this map, you will just crest this ridgeline and on the move shoot another heavy tank almost up the ass. Do not ram him. Just sit here patiently while they ignore me. Oh, a TVP has shot me? Well, we will have to teach him a lesson then that Klaus Kellerman has arrived. Goodbye, good night, and sayonara. Of course, lots of players reacted when they saw a Manticore in their Onslaught team. As I was busy carrying these teams, I received a lot of messages of encouragement, such as Illet_1, who writes, Hundeson, Manticore, idiot. As you can see, in the first game it was simple to achieve victory by doing over 3,000 damage while my medium tank teammates floundered. We will have to repeat this now on a different map and of course choose the weakest tank again. And while my teammates flounder in the middle, exchanging fire, as they so often do, head on one, in the corridors that Wargaming creates in this game, I will simply use my superior intellect and skill and amazingness to perform World of Tanks' greatest flanking maneuver ever performed. And that is by quickly surrounding the enemies and pounding them into submission while my teammates watch in awe. And let me propose to you that if you perform the exact same maneuver on this map, you will probably get detected and die because you are nowhere near as great as I am. So observe carefully and try and learn, although I know it is difficult for you to pick up all the nuances which I am letting you know about now. We will start the game simply by taking a cheeky shot, which Wargaming will say, no, 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 you're not allowed to hit, which is their prerogative, even though they have made this mode the aiming to be more accurate. Sometimes they decide that one team should win and one team should lose. That is what they do, but I am going to try and aim carefully now and take that RNG away. Speaking of RNG, there's a T-110E5 there who has moved up as a Muppet, and, well, he is going to have fun until Wargaming takes his RNG away. Now, they've given him some fairly good RNG so far. I've missed one and critically missed another one. Well, let's make up for that by hitting him in the side and lighting him on fire. I suspect now that he has used his fire extinguisher, probably of the automatic variety that costs more credits. So I will simply shoot him in the same spot and light him on fire. Again! There's nothing he can do at this point but just raise his gun barrel in disgust, curse Wargaming, and allow me to take him out on the battlefield. Of course, my teammates had no intention of taking him out, so it was up to me to do that. I will now reposition slightly and take a better angle so that I can continue to pump shots into these hapless, pathetic enemies who have no idea what's going on. They are surrounded and outclassed by the greatest World of Tanks player of all time, not knowing that I'm here with no hope of defending themselves. Let's just take another shot and take one more enemy out. As I continue to rack up the kills in the smallest tank in the game, while my teammates hide behind rocks and stay behind cover. There are times to stay behind cover and there are times to surge forward and attack. And one must be cognizant of what is happening on the battlefield in order to make those decisions. And I submit to you that right now, the greatest World of Tanks player of all time has realized that it is time to move up because an enemy surely will be right beside this rock and I can pump another shot into his side. Now as he backs up and wonders who let the Claus out, I can just move forward again and shoot him one more time. Up the ass. And light him on fire. 3 fires in this game, which is below average to the amount that I usually get. As I mentioned, I'm showing you some below average games so that you can watch in awe and realize how great I am. And perhaps when you take this tank out on the battlefield, you can attempt to do the same maneuvers that I performed in this game. And if you do, perhaps you may achieve a smidgen of the greatness which I did. And you'll notice that I tracked that particular tank so that I get all the tracking assist damage. Kommissar Toastbrot writes in a different language. We will Google translate this. He says, "Hi, evening. I have a question. Why are you in the match with Manti? Tried to drive completely outside. That just doesn't make sense to me." Of course it does not make sense to you because I am the greatest World of Tanks player of all time, not you. In that game we managed a below average 3 kills and 4,600 damage. As I've mentioned, I've selected a assortment of below average games just to give you an idea of how great I am on a consistent basis. What happens if you get a different map? Well, more of the same. You simply have to use your ingenuity and skill to drive into positions where you will not be shot and to move into positions where you can shoot enemies. And that is easily accomplished on this map by simply turning left at the beginning and entering the position that Wargaming provides right at the beginning with this little radio wave tower where you can detect all the enemies. Now, once again, Wargaming has realized that I am the greatest World of Tanks player of all time and on a tremendous winning streak. So they will affect my RNG at the beginning of the game, and as I wait for my detection to start and light the enemy, Wargaming makes my shot go right through the Russian tank that's sitting in the cap there. Because the Russian tank has a cloak of dispersion activated at the beginning of the game, allowing it to achieve a higher win rate. And if you don't believe me, why don't we do it again? Let's detect him and illustrate that for you one more time. Where is he? He is right there. There you go. So, we just have to wait for Wargaming to decrease the amount of RNG trolling. And as you'll notice, I did achieve 1,413 spotting assist with that maneuver. But in an effort to balance me, Wargaming has tried to ruin my RNG, but by carefully aiming I could take that first Russian tank out on the battlefield. Persevere and stay calm. When everything's going wrong, just stay calm. Aim at the big stupid player in the stupid conqueror, driving in the open like a muppet. Because that is a great decision, isn't it? To drive in the open like a muppet in a stupid conqueror. The biggest tank with no concealment in the game, driving in the open, on the road that everyone's aiming at, and ignoring the 57 bushes that are located on each side of the map. Now my teammate is parked in my way in order to slow me down. If he hadn't parked there, I would achieve more spotting assist more quickly, but he tried to slow me down because he is in a Russian tank and probably works for Wargaming. Probably involved in the programming of this game, which enabled my first two shots to pass through one of the Russian tanks that was predetermined to win this game until I took him out on the battlefield. And now we have to fight a slightly larger opponent. He is a full health German super heavy, so why not drive right beside him and just shoot him? Why hide? Why use cover when we can just sit right here behind him? He has no idea. Oh, he has awakened to the fact that I'm here, and I'm going to allow him now to shoot me once while I take position to shoot him again. I wanted to give him a false feeling of hope by letting him shoot the poor hapless Manticore while my teammates, who hesitated all this time, finally show up and take a few shots. I allow them to do that and then steal the kill, which is always the best thing to do to increase your WN8. And if you observe all these games, you will notice that my average WN8 will exceed 3,300 in these below average games I'm showing you. Oh look, another really big tank with a big gun. Why don't we just drive by and taunt him? Oh, go ahead, try and shoot the little light tank. Ha ha ha. He was busy looking at the Manticore while he exploded, which was my strategy. And now it's just a matter of closing in on the two enemies that are sitting there that are outnumbered. I'll track myself first just to slow myself down to give them time to relocate. But I will move in 1 versus 2 if I don't drown and light them for my team and continue to do damage, which is what I am achieving here. Now, the correct strategy now is just to approach them recklessly and just pump out the damage. But I'm allowing my teammates time to get closer because I realize that they are hesitant and novice players and not really used to playing with a super Unicom. So you have to give them time to react and try and keep up with your thoughts in the game. So now that I've realized that they've kept up with what I'm thinking that I should have done all along, I will proceed with my flanking maneuver and arrive at the perfect time to achieve more damage for myself. As my Object 268 keeps pumping in damage, I will just come up here and pop another shot into this hapless AMX who is just sitting there clueless and oblivious to the fact that he is going to get shot one more time up the ass by a Manticore. Do you like it like that? No, you like it like that. And now this CS63 is wondering, why am I playing World of Tanks and why am I on this team? Well, because you are not on my team. And, well, do you like it like that? I will wait and steal the kill, but Wargaming allowed my tank to low roll, robbing me of the 4 kills that I deserve. Hello, player. If you need help with missions, stats, credits, marks, and more, WOT Upgrade Team will help you. Smiley face. You get all the replays of the battles in the report. We do not violate anyone and do not deceive you. Well, it's a good thing that they do not violate anyone. All information is available on the WOT Upgrade website. Face with tongue sticking out. good luck in battles. It's good to see that Wargaming has cracked down on the game rigging. So we exited that game with a below average 3 out of the 7 kills and barely 3,000 damage because Wargaming manipulated my RNG and deviated my first shots. Now, one of the players on my team has typed in chat, "No mantis, please." Obviously, he is a beginner noob, and I reply to him, "Watch and learn." Not many players understand the nuances of the game, and when they see a manticore driven by Unicom, they get a little bit stressed. So he types in chat, "If you do shit, you get PP castration." Well, we will make sure that our PP stays alive and well and hard and firm and big and strong. There will be no castration going on. If you'll notice that rhymed, I am a poet and I didn't even know it. I'll show you the correct strategy at the beginning of the game. When you're in a fast tank, you enter one of these circles here. You engage your sight before the enemy. You pre-aim at the enemy sight knowing that he is in there. When it achieves, you press 9. You know where the enemy is. You shoot him before he sees you and you run for cover. Easily achieving 380 cheeky damage at the beginning of the game. No manti, please. It's all about insulting the manticore. I played a series of games here, and as I'm letting you watch these selection of below average games, I'll have you know that there were a lot of insults hurled at the manticore on the team. Many players did not understand that having a super Unicom driving a manticore meant that they would win and progress through this mode faster than if they had another hapless rental tank driven by a Muppet on their team. So the correct strategy here now is to keep driving around until you get the enemies into your sights. Now, you will notice that I am not using any premium ammo or consumables and simply playing this game hard mode, which really frustrates Wargaming because they've set up this mode as a credit drain, and I'm sure that most players are doing as Wargaming bids and spamming APCR and heat like motherfuckers, and spending hundreds of thousands of credits per game. Of course, I'm making credits because I, as I've mentioned many times in this video, am the greatest World of Tanks player of all time, and have realized that it is not an advantage to be spamming heat at this point, unless you're shooting at Russian tanks, but we will just track him. But Wargaming says, no, you cannot track him, you can just not hit his armor. You can shoot him in the tracks, but that will result in no armor hit. Let's aim for the lower plate, but of course the Russian cloak of dispersion will make the shot deviate into the upper plate. So there comes a time when you must say to yourself, stop shooting the Russian tanks and shoot some of the less armored tanks in the game, like the E-100, which is a small German tank that does not have very much armor. Let's just pump one into the side of his turret. And I can see that my players are heavy tanks are driving around aimlessly at the southern part of the map, so it'll be up to me and the Manticore to go in and brawl, because the Object 277 and the AMX 50B on my team are floundering in the south doing nothing. So let's just push down these houses and come up behind this E100 and pump another one up the ass. Which is the best way to brawl versus heavies, is to just drive up behind them and pump it up the ass. So let me illustrate that for you one more time. You just drive behind them and pump it up their ass. Which is a very easy tactic and hard for a heavy tank to notice that's happening. Especially when he is a Muppet and clueless and does not observe the little light bulb that lights up on his screen when things happen. Well, let's make this CS-63 feel foolish by performing the Claus Kellerman dipsy doodle maneuver. We'll just drive this way, beside him, auto lock on him, shoot him up the ass, and when he's ready to turn around, whoop, we do the dipsy doodle. Let's go find another target, shall we? Who shall we find? Ah, look, a TVP. He is an auto-loader. He can shoot us 4 times and we can only shoot him 1 time. So obviously we will rush in and take him out on the battlefield. Here we go. We will keep him lit with this funny little green flying thing that Wargaming has provided. And we will move into here and get the ram kill in a manticore. Ha! Well, if the RNG was working properly, it would have been a ram kill, but Wargaming low rolled my ram. I believe they gave me 94 damage for that full speed ram into the TVP. But I thought I would just show you these assortment of below average games and how to dominate on the battlefield. And I assure you that if you perform and activate the consumables in exactly the same order I did and go to the exact same places and do exactly what I did in each one of these games, when you get these maps, you will possibly achieve a fraction of the greatness which I have illustrated for you. Thanks for watching, and if you have no interest in playing these tanks in this mode, then hopefully you have learned how to take these tanks out on the battlefield by your friendly Manticore.